Okay, sorry for the actual delay for this commentary, because once again my microphone seems to get a little bit more looser these days, but hopefully it should be fixed from now on, so I just want to point things out. Anyway, so let's go on to that particular pipe up you go, and as a result this will actually lead us to the glorious castle on top of those drawers, because I'm pretty sure compared to the forms of the 3DS version, I'm pretty sure it's more accurately just a little bit of a flat surface all of a sudden, similar to the likes of, well, for instance, the Wii U version of Yoshi's Woolly World almost inspires by 3D World's world map, and as the forms of the 3DS version, it almost inspires by, you know, Super Mario 3D Land world map, because, you know, everything's all entirely different, depends on what version you'll be playing, so either way, that's one of the pointings out. So, anyways, hey, what is up, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Duffy Duck here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Yoshi's Woolly World for the Nintendo Wii U, / Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World for the Nintendo 3DS. So, last time we did manage to able to be completely done with the next 4 levels in World 6, despite the fact that we keep on missing some couple of items, most notably with, you know, smiley flowers, and especially noticeable some of the occasional of those, you know, stamp patches and stuff like that. So yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we are about to be approaching on to, well, at least unlike in any other videos as far as this particular Let's Play goes, I think we're actually going to be focusing on 2 levels for today, because, well, to be expected, as you can see, we're actually going to be going on to the final main level in the whole game, or in this case by the forms of that specific points for the actual main story of this game. Welcome to the forms of World 6-8, which appears to be King Bowser's Castle, which, just like the forms of the previous Yoshi's Island games, where basically it's going to take place in Bowser's Castle itself. So either way, and also to be expected, similar to the likes of the 2D Mario games here and there as well. So, but either way, that's as far as I can usually think about this for the time. So either way, we'll once again go and have to, like, grab the rest of the forms of the usual, you know, Miiverse stamps, and especially noticeable with those, you know, woolly ball pieces, and also the every single smiley flowers in case if we need some for specifically trying to able to unlock the final 2 levels coming up, which hopefully we'll able to actually come across into that at some point later on throughout the entirety of this Let's Play. So, relatively speaking, I might actually go ahead and get back into this at some point in next Tuesday, except on next Wednesday or even Friday, because either way, I'm thinking because of our fact that there's going to be a brand new redo Let's Play for our channel at some point in the future. But for now, let me just go ahead and take care of the forms of some of these different colored Shy Guys. But before we do anything, as you can see, that if you come across into this section right there, we actually come across into ourselves those 4 Bowser Jr., well, the Yoshi's Island games doesn't normally call it Bowser Jr., it's more accurately Baby Bowser's face, because either way, because of the Yoshi's continuity. So, but either way, aside from all that, basically we need to able to find these 4 corresponding colors that represents what the actual that yarn is actually required. So either way, we do need about 4 colors in each for that particular segment. So either way, for instance, we need to get ourselves the white woolly ball, as well as the green woolly ball, and the red woolly ball, and finally the blue ones. So, and then after we're done with all that puzzle segments from time to time, I think it will actually lead us to the actual final boss in the whole game, which either way, yeah, that's as far as I can usually try to expect for this point, and it's going to be a lot of backtracking moments here and there if you really want to go after every single items to be expected. So yeah, it's going to be so much to do for this point. So anyways, let's go ahead and hover for this point right there, because obviously we need to get ourselves a piece of wool over here. And also not to mention with the forms of course, the actual Miiverse patches, stamps, and stuff. So I think we pretty much checked out from this point here. So, yeah, there's not much else to say about it here. So, Yeah, today's day is the forms of the 9th of October in 2019, and as I mentioned this countless amount of times before, that at this point in time, I think I should probably be focusing on Super Mario Galaxy 2 for, until 2 days' time, especially noticeable how the fact that until on the weekends, especially noticeable as well, because obviously it's about the fact that we're actually getting really, really close towards the end when it comes to Super Mario Galaxy 2, Let's Play department, and same applies for, the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic series. Now, relatively speaking, is the fact that one thing I totally forgot to mention to you guys about something, for those of you the bronies out there, apparently though, is that G4, well, the actual TV series might actually end and join at some point in this Saturday, but apparently though, the actual G4 media or something like that, or usually based on around comics and stuff like that, the actual My Little Pony comics was not exactly done yet, because turns out they're actually going to be announcing there was going to be Season 10 of all things, which, either way, I was a little bit surprised about that, because either way, still I really enjoy the show so much, even way more than the forms of the previous generation still, because I think that's the actual animation. I think I prefer that style compared to the forms of some sort of a retro look, because, well, the problem with the retro looks though, to me though, is just that it usually contains like very stiff animation sometimes, especially when the lip syncing doesn't seem to able to cooperate, or I found it a little bit too uncomfortable, and especially noticeable with, Spike the Dragon in G1. Oh my god. What happened to his voice on that particular version throughout? Oh, Jesus Louise. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because Spike in G4 was actually way more top-notch than the forms of how it does it on the previous generations, in my opinion, so again, I might be biased, but still. So, another thing I want to talk about this is the fact that, unfortunately for specific events, most notably with, I'm talking about one particular game where I wasn't into the forms of the franchise to begin with, but I heard of it, but I haven't really, played those, which is the forms of Doom Eternal. And basically, that particular game on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and also the Nintendo Switch version, I'm afraid to say is that the Doom Eternal was actually going to be delayed during at some point in, I think it's going to be, got the new date, which is going to be on exactly the same day as the Animal Crossing New Horizons. So, well, for the Switch anyway, though. Well, that's only, if only because of how the fact that, well, they need to get some more polish, especially noticeable how the fact that they need to able to get a lot more, time going with that specific development cycle. But either way, though, it doesn't matter too much, though, because, well, it only exists whenever the actual date has been confirmed for delaying stuff, and that was only on, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. But, however, though, the Switch version doesn't seem to have the actual, delay release date as far as I'm concerned yet. But even then, hopefully we'll find things out and join at some form or another. So, anyways, let's get rid of this black woolly yarn ball, and let's just go ahead and toss the white one over there. And also toss another one from here. That particular white statue almost kind of reminds me of dry baby Bowser for some reason in those unofficial plushies that you can get from certain online shops and stuff like that. But even then, I found it a little bit more weird and all of a sudden, so... But either way, though, let's not get ahead of ourselves for this point, because either way, we're actually on to the last main story level in the whole game. Well, we're not exactly done with the actual game yet, though, still, because, well, to be honest, there's gonna be still more ways to able to actually... There's still more things to come to show off. Like, for instance, we've already got about 3 more levels left for able to actually 100% for everything for the majority of the levels, as well as the tons of extras that you might actually get after you complete the main game and stuff like that, and also some of these 3DS exclusive stuff. So either way, because, well, I was originally trying to able to actually not to be going back into the 3DS capturing footage recording sessions, but I seem to somehow change my mind a little bit, but only the main focus is, of course, Yoshi's Woolly World, specifically, because of, they actually did manage to offer us some exclusive stuff, mainly with the forms of, well, 2 major things that's usually exclusive on that version, such as, like, the Poochie levels, as well as these, all 31 of those short movies, which I honestly I haven't really got everything about the shorter movies yet, because I usually rarely manage able to play my 3DS for half the time, so I promise I'll get back into it one day, but either way, that will make it happen. Enjoy it at some point in later on in October, at least if we got enough time, which is roughly the same time as whenever I managed to finish up with the entire Let's Play of Pac-Man World at the very end of this month, so yeah, but unfortunately though, I can't able to actually just to do anything extras for that particular game, because, well, at this point in time, I'm most likely gonna have to focusing on the actual main game itself. Well, usually in some games though, I managed to able to show you guys the actual 100% completionist when it comes to the forms of some levels like this. Well, not all of them, mind you, though, but just some of them, so just want to point things out, because either way though, I'm just not exactly like enthusiastic about this, so. And another kind of annoying thing to me though, especially because since I'm a huge My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fan, well, not the other versions of My Little Pony per se, but the one specifically G4 version like I still do. Unfortunately though, the Rainbow Road Trip DVD, at least in the UK version, is once again delayed for the second time, because originally it was supposed to be going to be releasing on the 4th of November, but it turns out it was pushed back a bit in about 3 weeks later, which is going to be released on the 25th of November instead. So, yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm just not really, not in the right mood for that point, especially because I'm just getting so sick of the forms of some of these delaying stuff. And speaking of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic stuff, I managed able to watch the actual Season 7 DVD compilation, specifically the UK version. Now I've noticed there's one little error when it comes to that specific for that particular DVD compilation, thanks to the forms of the Amazon Amazon listing customers. Especially noticeable how the fact that one of the Wikipedia actually mentioned about this is that you notice on the actual episode called to change a changeling episode. Basically what involves this is the fact that, spoiler warning for those who have not seen it yet, for those of you the bronies out there, or even little girls out there who have not even experiencing that episode just yet, it basically involves around Starlight Glimmer, as well as the great powerful Trixie managed to able to go back into the Changeling's kingdom at one point, and they're trying to able to solve the actual problems on that particular place. However, though, it is work just fine on the forms of the actual internet, especially on well, I was gonna able to watch it on Sky though, or Sky Q or something, but I don't feel like trying to do that, I'm afraid, because either way, I'm just trying to point things out, especially because, I'm just really in some sort of a gaming industry right now, so either way, no matter what though, I did manage to able to actually watch episode 12 and episode 17 back to back on the UK version at the moment in our DVD compilation. Well, sadly to tell you, is the fact that one of the the audio clips that usually, like, if they're originally trying to able to bring the original audio clip on that one particular episode in Fury, and that honor goes to the forms of To Change a Changeling, which I was a little bit ticked off, because even then, or in this case, almost got ripped off by that, because, well, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy the show still, but it's just that the one little technical hiccup with that specific edition on Season 7 DVD. I haven't exactly tested out on the Season 7 on the American version, because otherwise I was stuck with, region lock and stuff like that, but that's besides the point. Okay, quick error right there, because I assume to realize is the fact that, well, you notice how the fact that I seem to able to wandering around like an idiot all of a sudden, because, well, with that little water section that we've already managed to able to come across, but before we do that, actually, there was actually that particular item that we sort of able to actually miss out on from, which, with the forms of those a whole bunch of black flight guys managed able to fly around in a circle. Well, basically because of how the fact that there's actually a arrow sign around here. So, hopefully we can able to find that, and hopefully we can able to get one of those collectibles as soon as we can. So, either way, and also another thing I want to point out is that, the actual Mario Kart Tour, the next event, which is going to take place in Tokyo Metropolis track, is now officially going to be happening. So either way, I'm actually really looking forward to able to actually trying that particular course out, because, you know, I'm getting pretty tired of the forms of the New York Minute track, because, well, it's just that I just found it a little bit tedious able to replay for that particular stage over and over and over again. If at least I was trying to give myself my high scores from that theory system. So either way, that's only because of how the fact that I'm just getting sick of like getting owned by specific opponents from across the forms of the entire world or anything. So, but you know, you get the idea for that point. So, and speaking of Mario Kart Tour, I accidentally managed to able to purchase myself the forms of the Gold Pass subscription for it. And because obviously I just wanted to test out the forms of not only for specific gifts that it does require the Gold Pass, but it's also the fact that to trying out the actual 200cc for the first time in Mario Kart Tour so far. And for I've played it, it's actually a little bit more faster and quicker than the forms of how it does in somewhat of a snail's pace on the 150cc, or even especially noticeable on 50cc, that's for sure. But either way, though, that's besides the point. So, anyway, so I think we actually got ourselves 3 bowls of yarn right there. So this means we can now able to actually fill up that particular baby Bowser's face. But first of all, let me just go ahead and get rid of 2 of those black ball of yarn, if you can see right here. So even then, at least we can able to get rid of them. So in this case, we need to place that in. And as soon as we're able to place those correct colors in that particular corresponding statues, then this will actually happen. And as you can see, Baby Bowser's mouth is actually opened, and this actually reveals the actual door to the next room. So either way, but before we do that, then we just activate that checkpoint in case if I was going a little bit more insanity. But either way, let's just go ahead and dive right in onto that particular room. And it turns out we got ourselves the auto-scrolling section, but to top it all off, I believe we might actually come across to Kamek at some point in that particular section. So, and basically, just like the forms of how it does in most other New Super Mario Bros. Games, basically for the likes of New Super Mario Bros. Wii / New Super Mario Bros. U, New Super Luigi U, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, whatever you want to call it, basically that Kamek's magic will able to actually transform those blocks into certain objects, like for instance enemies like Shy Guys or anything like that, and especially noticeable some occasional hearts. So, but honestly, I really don't think that this level wasn't that much traumatizing at all. Well, especially noticeable how the fact that I don't think that level doesn't give me all that trouble at all. But even then though, because of how the fact that I just simply know what I was gonna do for this point. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and activate that checkpoint for this point right there. And it will actually lead us to the final boss door, as you can see from that specific ending section there. So, of course, you can able to actually enter that door over there without letting the actual auto-scrolling still scrolling. But either way, let's just go inside the door and let's see who revived the forms of, well, you know, responsibility for all this cautious or something. Where's Kamek? Why isn't he home? Beats me, Baby Bowser. Beats me. Young Master Bowser, here I am, safe and sound. You're late. Why so late? What? You have been so... What you been doing? Gotta give me that yarn. You're gonna use this yarn to make a big new castle, my castle. Huh. Hey, who are you? This is my yarn. Mine, mine, mine! I'm not giving it up to anybody. Little Master, allow me to assist. So here we go, folks. This is the forms of the actual Baby Bowser boss fight. Now, basically, in order to actually deal with this boss, is that I highly recommend you're able to use the Woolly Ball until you're able to actually just manage to trap him out. So, now for once in a while, though, is the fact that he does manage to got himself the actual fiery attacks to his disposal, just like the forms of how it does it on the Yoshi's Island games for sure. But the biggest difference is obviously it's going to take place in a yarn aesthetic look to it. So, plus no Baby Mario, so you don't have to worry about that specific stuff for this instances. So, but either way though, the entire battle is not that hard though. It's just the fact that you need to dodge a lot of those attacks. Like for instance, of course, the actual flamethrowers, especially with Chemic's, magic of any sorts. So just in case you really can't be bothered able to, like, although if you really want to go for, 100% challenge of it though, well, you need to be very careful here. So, anyways though, so hopefully we could able to stun him, and we can ground pound him for the 3rd time, and there he goes. Or is it? You young master, are you alright? Yoshi, how could you do such a thing? Wait, I have a perfect idea. What's he gonna do? Let's use the power of this yarn. Yes, that'll be perfect. Hey, hang on. What's going on here? So yeah, if you could tell, much like the forms of several other Yoshi's Island games, where basically, Baby Bowser might actually grow a little bit more bigger, with a gigantic form as a result. So even then, I think this will actually lead us to the true final boss in the whole game. Which appears to be, well, none other than Baby Bowser himself. You've made me angry! So basically, in this entire boss fight, as you can see right there, or this final boss, I should say, basically, we do need to able to utilize the giant balls of yarn until able to actually just aid them up. And then, as a result of this, though, that in order to actually deal the damage on giant Baby Bowser, is that you notice there's actually a Bowser symbols onto that specific yarn's respectively. Well, we need to toss them at the actual specific angle, because if you somehow deal with 1 damage for those each yarn, then that'll deal the damage of him. So either way, unlike in most other bosses in this game, where basically it took about like 3 hits to kill, I think this one actually took about likely specifically, I would say about 6 or 7 or just 8 hits. I think it's like 8 hits to his disposal, which I could assuming so anyway, because either way, unlike in previous bosses, he only has like 3 hits to kill. At least assuming if you're able to actually use the ground pound to begin with. But at least for this particular boss fight though, it does not require you to able to do a ground pound at all. So either way, that makes it a little bit of a cool idea as the actual final boss in theory, which although it's nothing nearly as entertaining or interesting compared to the forms of how it does it on Yin Yarn boss fight from the likes of Kirby's Epic Yarn, but it still looks pretty cool to say the least, especially because of how the fact that, well, as you can tell, because even then though, the graphics in this game look absolutely beautiful, even on the Wii U version. Even though the 3DS version might get some pixelations and stuff like that, which I'm sure many people already know understanding about that specific stuff, but either way though, that's besides the point for that, little speculations, so anyways though, so the biggest strategy for this is that you notice the little arrow cannon parts as you can see right there. I recommend you're able to use those sometimes, because that way you're able to actually just to go a little bit more further when it comes to the forms of specific stuff like this. So anyways though, so we've only got 1 more piece of yarn left, and turns out we can able to actually deal with him from here. So I don't think I could able to reach him in time, because sure enough he'll jump up and then just, turn around instantly, so oh well, at least we can able to find another way to able to actually deal with all that stuff. Luckily, the entire battle wasn't all that hard though, until later on anyway though, I think anyway though. It just makes things a little bit more tricky and difficult, but we'll mention more on that during the future parts of the actual Let's Play of this. So, there goes Baby Bowser. The unveil from Baby Bowser and scatters all around. Apologize for that little reading error, I must admit though. Suddenly, it comes together and knits a bunch of Yoshis back. Stuff like a multicolored variations of Yoshis, of course. How dare you do this to young master? You will pay for this one day. Eek. United, the Yoshis return to their island once more, happy and, cozy. Hopefully Baby Bowser will take some time to think about what he's done. And from here, we get ourselves the actual staff credits, which I'm probably not going to able to discuss upon my, my final thoughts of the game so far, because, well, at this point in time, it's the fact that we're not exactly done with this game yet, which I mentioned this before. We've only got about, likely, a couple of levels left. Specifically, we only got about 2 levels left, which there are, the 6th special stage, as well as the true final level in the whole entire game, while able to actually get ourselves, all of every single of those smiley flowers in each level. So either way, but we're not gonna mention about that too much specifically just yet, though, because either way, we're actually getting pretty close towards the end of World 6 so far. So I'm quite surprised about the fact that we actually did manage to able to breezily go through all this without any single likely for shorter episodes for the time. But even then, I'm very glad for that tradition, because that way, you get the idea for that point. So, and then I think we did manage to able to 100% for everything on this level, which is, 6-8, which I appreciate that, because I don't need to able to replay that level again if I keep on getting hit a lot, which I will admit though right away, I seem to have not much more troubles on this level though, because I think that compared to the 3DS version, despite the fact that I usually played that game on my 3DS XL, which is the normal one, I have to admit though, because it does usually have the different frames per second option, which appears to be 30 frames per second the whole time, compared to the 60 frames per second on the new 3DS hardware and stuff like that, plus the new 2DS XL and stuff like that. But either way, I just want to point things out for that little descriptions of the forms of some differences between, in between each hardware and stuff. So, in this particular staff credits, as you can see, it shows us the forms of the entire moon, and also we got ourselves both Kamek and especially noticeable for Baby Bowser managed able to interact with that specific staff credit sequence, and there's Poochie right onto that particular moon, and then at the very end of this particular staff credits, well, basically, Baby Bowser will get blown away, and then the end, text right there is actually on the actual, part of the moon, which I think is actually very adorable, especially when Poochie managed to hang on to the actual 2D, spinny version of that particular moon, which I think is very cute. In fact, everything else in this game looks absolutely adorable, very much like the forms of how it does it on Kirby's Epic Yarn, that's for sure. So anyways though, let's just go ahead and skip this staff credits here, and yes, if you manage to skip that, well, basically it tells you the actual results of this level, so even then we actually got every single of those collectibles, which I'm very glad about. Thanks for playing, even though we've not exactly done with this yet though, because I mentioned this before. We actually unlocked the forms of some other stuff, like for instance we got the background music melody, as well as the young Yoshi managed to able to fit placed back together in Bowser's castle at least, and also a new course is being unlocked, and also finally the boss tent is now being accessed. So, but either way, we'll save the boss tents. Well, I'll mention more on that whenever we're able to completely done with this episode, because either way, even though for some reason it actually took me back to the title screen and stuff like that, which I'm not exactly sure why the game let us do that though, but either way, I don't mind that at all. So, and look at that, we actually come across into that specific smiley flowers count, as you can see right there. I think it's pretty obvious because of how the fact that we actually got the final level to go through for World 6, which is, the World 6 special stage, of course. So either way, we can able to actually just accept that. So, but before we do that, let me just go ahead and see what's up here onto that specific stage. And turns out we got ourselves the baby Bowser Yoshi right here. So, yeah, it's pretty cool though. And even then, I might actually go ahead and equip him for that specific stage. So, yeah, here we go. On to level 6-S, in this case, the 6th special stage. And, some people seem to think that this one might actually be a little bit more trickier as far as the actual level like this. But if you manage to able to actually be going like completely a game breaker or anything, well, basically, if you manage to able to use that specific power badge, which is completely vulnerable to lava and everything, well, you can basically just breeze through this. So, especially noticeable, you can able to become game breaking if anything. So. But then again, I just want to able to actually get these levels done and over with before we're able to move on to the extra side of things. Specifically, you know, I'll mention more on that details onto that though whenever we continue progressing onto this specific stage, as you can see. So, and I think this will actually be the last level to be able to actually get this little music in the background. Which either way, because I think there was actually a true final level in the game, which I mentioned this before already, and I'm pretty sure you need to gather about, let's just say about 240 of those, smiley flowers, I'm presuming, although I saw some sort of, like, miscount on that, because, wow, I wasn't paying attention to the forms of those smiley flowers counts, you see, so. Anyways, let's go and activate that platform over there for that specific, hidden cloud thing right there, even though sometimes it might. What the hell? Did I just get crushed? Oh my god, I just got crushed. Oh, that was pretty bad. Anyway, let's try that again. So, yeah, anyway, though, what I was gonna briefly go for this level, though, yeah, let's just mention more details about my, problem with my, Season 7 DVD compilation on My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, DVD compilation on the UK version, is that they, for some reason, managed to heavily borrow the previous, episode's audio, specifically episode 12, audio, which either way, I think the bad news about it, though, is the fact that they used that throughout the whole episode, not just, like, you know, swapped over and everything. So, unfortunately for you guys out there, for those of you who lived in UK, I'm afraid you're gonna have to stuck with this though. Especially the only option for this right now is the fact that you can either watch it on TV, or even just manage to able to watch it on Netflix, if it's possible. So, but even then, I'm just found a little bit, you know, unacceptable when it comes to the forms of those, decisions like this. You know, it's kind of like the same thing for how it does it on, Mario Party, the top 100 almost, because in that game, managed to able to actually bring some of these minigames back, like, Trace Race, for instance, as well as, Trace Race from Mario Party 4. And, the music choice on that is actually incorrect in my opinion, because it usually borrows the music from Mario Party 7, so. But to me, it doesn't look like the actual main fitting for the tone for me. It should be like, slowly yet steady, yet surely from the likes of Mario Party 4 soundtrack, but just remakes them. So, but unfortunately, that's not the case, however, though, so. Yeah, it kind of feels like a problematic, I feel like. So either way, that's as far as the actual point goes. So, and aside from everything else, though, I think that's as far as I can say for this point. Even though at least we managed to able to discuss on something like news, relatable stuff, and everything at least. So that's good though, especially because of our fact that at least we actually got some details onto that. Oh, yeah, I suppose, I'll let, Mario will mention more on that until when he gets back onto, you know, Super Mario Odyssey tomorrow, so either way, we'll, let him, mention about that, so. Still, it can take some time, it can still take some time, but I can assure to you that it might actually bring us something else to the table, I'm assuming so anyway, so. Anyways, here's that last Goonie right there. Oh, by the way, the actual level's name with, World, 6-S, by the way, although I will, mention more on that assuming if I accidentally missed something, which, sure enough, I still missed something, which is this time around is the first smiley flower, or in this case, you know what that beginning portion I just somehow managed to come across? Well, I've accidentally ignored it, so either way, we'll have to replay that level for the final time, and hopefully we can able to obtain that particular item, so. Don't worry though, we'll get there for surely, so. Yeah, it's called Skeleton Goons Lava Layer, that's what the actual level is called, so. yeah, that's one pointing out. So either way, let me just trying to go back into that level for the final time, as I said, and hopefully we can able to grab the final of the actual, the smiley flower if we manage to able to unlock the true final level in the whole game, which either way we'll, point things out later on, but we got ourselves NES Yoshi, in this case, as for a better term, Nintendo Entertainment System Yoshi, which is inspired by the actual design from the likes of the UK version of the NES as well as the American version. If you play this on the Japanese version of this game, basically it gets replaced by the forms of the Famicom Yoshi instead. So, and I think the only major difference is the fact that the actual color scheme choice. Like for instance, they'll get him like, let's just say red and yellow pattern, so I think that might be the only differences from here, so that's cool though, and I do apologize with the actual tongue twisting in the end, folks, especially because, commentary can get a little bit more stressed out at points. Well, not so much stressed out at points, it's just that, well, if I was trying to able to discuss on something, sometimes I just can't even know how do I expect to able to discuss on, so... But anywho though, aside from everything else though, specifically for other films worth mentioning though, aside from, well, we've already got ourselves about likely 9 days to go until the new Shaun the Sheep the movie was actually going to be releasing on in joining forms of the 18th of October in the UK. So should be exciting for me though. Well, I haven't really watched that much of Shaun the Sheep for these days now because, well, at this point it's the fact that I usually watched some other TV series that usually just speaks a lot, and especially noticeable with, in some shows, most notably with, the Powerpuff Girls, specifically the original series, the 1998 counterpart, not the 2016 reboot, because they seriously screwed over with the nostalgia and stuff like that, and, also for the entire everything about that particular reboot, I just really despise so much. Anywho though, oh crap, I'm almost gonna die by these little goonies. But hopefully though, we actually made it to the very end of the level though at least, so... And you do realize about the fact that I somehow managed to get hit by that stuff, so... Actually, to be fair, this wasn't exactly going to be the final time we're going to be seeing that particular bonus stage for a while though, because... as we already know, is the fact that we might actually get something after we're able to obtain all 240 of those smiley flowers. What is this, like Super Mario Galaxy 2 all over again? Well, except the fact that, well, I'll mention more details on Super Mario Galaxy 2 at some point throughout the, specifically for this Friday, and especially noticeable on this Saturday, so... But anywho, we are pretty much done with World 6, so there we go. And we managed to unlock this brand new level, that again, if you managed to able to get like 240 of those smiley flowers. Oh wait, I forgot to switch over to NES Yoshi. Hold on just a moment. Come on, there we go. So hopefully we can able to use him for the majority of the future points or the future parts of this Let's Play. But, with that secret special level as you can see on the center of the Croft Island? Well, that will be for later, I'm afraid, because... join us next time on Let's Play Yoshi's Woolly World. Is the fact that we might actually save the special or the final level for later, because instead, we think we might actually do something completely different, such as the boss tents first. So, and after that, we'll show off the final level in the whole game, as well as some extras that can show off. So see you guys then. Later, fellas.